Back in 2006, I was a background dancer performing in IFA. And in 2013, when I made my debut, they were kind enough to allow me again to perform as an actor. And in 2017, I'm nominated as a Best Actor. So it's a nice story to tell, right?
It is amazing. What do you think is the secret to staying relevant?
I think it's letting go of the known. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you are like really talented and you learn, you acquire skills, you try to hold on to everything that you know. But there is a time when you let go of those things. I would quote my favorite Cohen line. It says that you lose your grip and then you slip into the masterpiece. So that is what it is. Till the time you know the why of doing what you do, you don't need an inspiration.
I have started from nothing, absolutely nothing. It's not even zero, it's like minus because I was doing something else. There was a momentum to become an engineer, and suddenly I discovered this thing that I really like. And I start doing it. But at the same time, as a kid, I also had many dreams, like common dreams. You know, I'll buy my own house and I'll buy this car, it's a luxury car. So these things were there. And now when I started following my my dream, in the sense of changing my career, I started earning money to an extent that I could actually afford all these things. What happened that while I was doing my work, I also was realizing this fact that everything that I stayed with for so many years, for like 20 years of my life, thinking that one day I'll get this and then I'll arrive, I'll be successful. Those things just stayed with me for a few days. And I very quickly got used to owning those things, and there was no excitement left. So I was like, oh, this is not the way to go. But then the only way to go is to be myopic. So another goal, another goal, another goal. But it doesn't give you anything. The entire process will bore you until unless you get something. And it will just hit you for like few days and then again. So it's like 95% of boredom and 5% of excitement. But if you do something every day that excites you, you will get all those things. You'll get the spikes in between. But at the same time, you're enjoying the entire process. This is the hunger for learning that I understood with my experience of my life. Failures and why does something happen? There are two things. And I think I have a different take on both the things, and it's very, very different from what is general point of view. Like failures, it's extremely important. I think I would value a massive failure more than a mediocre success. But having said that, that's not my intent, why I'll do something. But the most important thing is that the whole knowledge structure of education in our schools or anything, we are taught to be so careful. We are taught to not fail, you have to succeed. That's fine, you want to succeed, you please succeed. But being careful is the problem. You need to learn how not to be careful. You need to try different things. Only then, once in like 100 times or 200 times, you'll hit on something that's completely fresh. And that's going to change everything for everybody. So it's extremely important to fail, because without failure, you cannot get something new or fresh. You will be a very good repetition of something else, if that makes you happy. And number two is that we make logical sense of everything only looking backwards. I became an actor because I had a problem. I was an introvert. You know, I'm the youngest in my family, and I was so pampered in my house that when I used to step out, I didn't know how to deal with people. So I gradually became this very shy introvert kid who could not talk. Well, I still cannot talk. And I have this stage fright. So in case, so what I do generally as an actor is I hide behind all these fascinating characters, and then I'm confident. You know the importance of hard work, perseverance, and vision, focus, self-belief, and etc., etc. So I don't need to talk about that. But after deep thinking, I zeroed down into two things that I can actually discuss about. These two things talk about chasing your dreams and actually living your dreams, which unfortunately nobody mentioned to me when I was starting out. Those two things are the biggest lie and the only truth about success that I was told about. Now, the biggest lie was money plus recognition is equal to happiness, is equal to success. So let me begin by mentioning that I come from a very middle class family. And when I was growing up, money was a big differentiator in my life. Also, in the 3 generations of my family that I know of, that are documented, nobody knew what fame felt like. So basically, both money and recognition were missing when I started out. So I already started out as a failure. Let me be very precise. My family told me that I had to become an engineer. Once I'm an engineer, then I can, try civil services examination, and then probably, that will be like opening the doors for all kind of happiness, and I'll be forever successful. I'll be forever happy. This is the conditioning that I experienced when I was growing up. Alright, fair enough. Good deal. So I became very good in studies. Did fairly well in my 10th board exams. And then off I went to Delhi for my +2. Got myself enrolled in a nice school. And Vidyamandir and Fiji and half a dozen of other coaching institutes. And I used to share my room with 3 other similar aspirants. What it meant was, every day after finishing my assignments, school assignments, and preparing for my engineering entrance exam, I had to wash my clothes and I had to cook food for myself. But I wasn't complaining. Well, it was worth it, because after all, I was, for the very first time in my life, I was so close to become successful for the first time in my life. So finally I slogged, I got selected for several engineering colleges. And I decided to take admission in Delhi College of Engineering, which is now known as DTU. You should be happy because you're supposed to be happy. But it wasn't working that much. Something was missing. There was a void that I could feel. So I thought maybe something bigger was required. For some reason, incessantly, while the first 18, 19 years of my life, the future me was much happier, much successful than the present me. So I was like, alright, fine. So I was forcing myself. I promised, I started preparing for civil services examination, and I was forcing myself to slog, but I was bored. UPSC exams were still far away. In the meantime, I thought of doing theatre, and I thought to learn dance, because to counter the shyness that I had, still have. Once I started with performing arts, I knew one thing for sure. I knew that I quite liked it. And 3 years later, imagine me sitting in the campus, and I'm thinking, alright, I'm really interested in performing arts. And all I want to do is to earn money and to be recognized. So if I become a movie star, I actually was very serious, and I dropped out of my college in the 3rd year, when I was just 2 semesters away from getting the degree, engineering degree. Came to Mumbai, got heavily into theatre and also other skills that I thought were necessary to become an actor. And by the way, this time I stayed with 6 other guys in a single room kitchen, but this time I was prepared for it. This time, there was one difference. I was driven. My self-respect was at stake. My ex-college mates, one of them is sitting right here in black shirt, they thought that I was that disaster that folks in engineering and B schools should never become. So I had to prove a point to everybody. I had to prove a point to my family. Most importantly, I had to prove a point to myself. And this was the time when I was also a background dancer. So I was dancing behind all the possible stars that you can think of, Shah Rukh Khan, Shahid Kapoor, everybody. And I was thinking to myself while I was performing, okay, it's just 3 steps away, there I have to get. And everything will be sorted. And I kept going like that. And 2 years later, guess what? I got myself my first big break. I was selected for a primetime show on the TV. Now hear me out, it was seriously a big break because I started earning. People started recognizing me. I bought myself my first dream house. I bought myself my dream car. And then something unusual happened. I got used to everything. And I felt cheated. I stayed with all these dreams for 10 and 15 years of my life. I was promised happiness and I was promised success. But all these things stayed with me just for a few days. And I'm punctuating me because I started from zero money and zero recognition. So I was not happy. How can that it be? I didn't like this version of success. And the future me again was luring the present me. But this time, I decided otherwise. I would do something else. So that gets us to the second point, which is the only truth. I won't take too much time, I'll just try to keep it short. I figured something. I figured that something, seemingly big things, were not that big once I got them. And looking back in the past, I realized that maybe smaller things were way bigger. And there was one thing that was missing in my life that was the cause of this illusion. And that thing that was missing was now. I was, all these years, I was obsessed about what's gonna happen. I used to draw those flowcharts that we are taught in schools. That if this happens, I'll do that, and 6 months from now, I'll be here. So I wanted to be in control. I was so obsessed about my future. I was taking the entire responsibility about the past. But all I was doing was frequently swinging from past to future, not living in actual sense. Well, I also figured that when I perform on stage or in front of camera, I'm so much excited. I am so much interested. I was paying so much attention that there was no room to think about future or the past. I was just there in the moment. I was alive in true sense when I was performing. And for the first time, trust me, in a long time, I understood the true meaning of success, which was not money plus recognition, but it was now plus excitement.